Cleveland Cavaliers, they've hit a rough stretch of form recently. They're 5-5 over their last 10. And the
Hmm.
Celtics are now just 4.5 games behind them with, I think, 8 games to play. So it's not mathematically impossible that the Celtics could actually leapfrog them in the standings. The Celtics, who have
Right.
won 8 straight, 9 of their last 10. BJ, what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Cavaliers hitting a rough stretch in kind of maybe the worst time of the season to have a rough stretch of play?
Well, I'm gonna look at this team, and the only thing that has concerned me about this team is your team begins to show their true character, right? Talent is going to get you to the top. Character is what's going to keep you there. Now, when you have a team and the team begins to believe that they are a championship team, the team takes on that responsibility. The executives put the team together, and at the beginning of the season in training camp, your executives will say, we have a chance. And then all of a sudden, you can see the team form their own identity within the course of a season where they'll take on the character that you love to see, which is we're not going to lose consecutive games, regardless what's going on. It's like one of those things that, I don't know, maybe Scott can talk about it, that the team suddenly just takes on. Like winning matters to this group. For the most part, they'll probably enjoy each other's company. At least they understand the professionalism that's necessary to win, but they'll take on that one trait. Now, we've seen this team lose 2, 3 games. I just saw them when they came out here on the West Coast. They went on like a 3-game losing streak.
Hmm.
And I thought I mentioned that. I think we talked about that. I said, if there's one thing about this team that kind of, you don't see it often. Championship caliber teams don't lose 3, 4 games during the course of a regular season, traditionally.
Hmm.
Now, the last team that I can think of, like off the top, and I'm sure there are probably others, was been the Houston Rockets. Like that Houston Rockets team in the mid '90s. You know, they would go up and down. But overall, when you start seeing teams lose 3, 4, 5 games,
Yeah, just last week they lost to the Magic, the Clippers, the Kings, and the Suns. And, with the exception of the Clippers there, the Magic, the Kings, and the Suns aren't teams that they should have been losing to.
yeah, I don't care who they're losing to. It's the fact that the team has a competitive spirit that those guys don't want to lose. So I'm a little concerned with that as they head into the playoffs. And traditionally, you don't see that with championship caliber teams. There's a sense of urgency that they bring to the game. When the team loses, you don't have to tell them, hey, we can't allow this to happen. So we'll see. Maybe there's some injuries or things we don't know about. I don't know. But I am a little concerned because I saw them on the road. Okay. And if you're going to be a champion, you have to be able to win on the road. Okay. Regardless, I don't care whether you have home court, you have to go into an opposing team's home court and win and get a game. So that is my biggest concern. They've had a marvelous regular season, but I mean, you got to get it done when it's time to get it done. And if you see something, it's probably going to show up again. And hopefully, because you don't want to see that same thing. I think Scott, I think you were part of the New York Knicks where they had home court advantage and the Knicks came in there and beat
Hmm.
them.
Hmm.
Okay, so
Yep.
we know that what has happened in the past, and until they're able to advance and take on that challenge, that's going to always be lingering around. So I'm a little concerned. I would like to see them win these games, regardless who they're playing. I would like to see them play with a sense of urgency, but also, I mean, I'm not going to take away. I mean, they started out, what they were like the hottest team in the league at the beginning of the season. And they've had a couple of stretches where they looked like they were, clearly the best team in the league, you could argue. But right now, it's a different story. And as they're heading into the playoffs, I don't care what you've done in the regular season. That's of concern, especially the coaches. And you got to win these games, especially, and as I like to say, you got to beat the teams you're supposed to beat. They're supposed to beat some of those teams. And right now, it's, I'm sure there's still a confident group, but maybe not as confident as you would like heading into the playoffs.
Two questions that the Cavaliers are going to have to answer in playoff basketball this year. A, we talked about it with the Rockets, the physicality. Can they play when the game slows down a little bit and teams really try to play physical with them, especially on the interior? And I think Evan Mobley has improved a lot. His body's improving. He's stronger. Same with Jared Allen. But that will be a method of attack against them. And number two, when teams will try to be physical with those two guys. And then number two, they're smallish in the starting backcourt with Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell as your starting guards. How does that play out during the playoffs? Now, again, the regular season, they've improved a lot defensively. Again, they've been the best team over here in the Eastern Conference, and I've been a fan of this group the entire year. But again, when you get into the playoffs, teams are going to assess what your perceived weaknesses are, and they're going to try to exploit that. How do they handle that when faced with that in consecutive 7-game series? So that'll be the biggest, for me at least, as I watch this Cleveland team navigate their playoff run this season as opposed to last, because now there's more expectations with this group too. They didn't have the expectations, even though they had the home court against us my last year with the Knicks when we were able to win, or even last season when they got bounced by the Celtics in the second round. There are more expectations now because they had such a monumental regular season run this year. There's going to be an expectation that at minimum it's conference finals or bust for this group. That's where I think it sends for them. And so how do they handle that as an expectation with the group too?